Joining us now is Speech First President Nicole Neily. Last week it was reported, and we also did a story on it in the Virginia Star, go to the Virginia Star, that Virginia's Loudon County Public Schools District Board is going to be voting on whether or not to adopt a speech code that's going to prohibit teachers or any school employee from criticizing anything they do outside of the campus. So basically, here's what it means. If you're a teacher in Loudon County and you go to a bar and you're talking at a bar with your friend and you're got a Trump button on and you're talking about the fact that you like Trump and you don't like the Democrats, guess what they can do? Fire you. Because now Loudon County says, well, that's going to be offensive. That's offensive speech. So if you're not a left-wing, pro-socialist, monitor speech part of the cancel culture, then you can get fired for having a beer with a friend and get ratted out because you happen to be a Republican. You think I'm making this up? We did a whole story on it in the Virginia Star. We're going to keep covering that. Go to thevirginiastar.com. Joining us now, Speech First President Nicole Neily. Nicole, what is going on here?
Yeah, you know what? Thanks to backlash from people like you, the school board has actually tabled it. They're reviewing it right now because they were supposed to vote on it on October 12th. But it's not out of the woods yet. So I appreciate you keeping up the pressure just to highlight what a horribly offensive and unconstitutional policy this is.
We did a major story on it in the Virginia Star, headlined it, and it got tremendous play. I got more downloads on that than anything we've done recently. But the fact that this would even be drawn up, I mean, what is going on? You have a school system which are funded by your tax dollars, your property taxes, telling teachers what they can say when they're on their own time? Are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah, and it was buried in the fine print. It was just a revision of their professional conduct policy, but it banned discriminatory comments that is motivated in whole or in part by a bias against an individual's religion, and it bans any comments that are not in alignment with the school's commitment to action-oriented equity practices. So, as you said, I mean, it could be somebody, a religious teacher, talking about, their faith in, their belief in marriage between a man and a woman in the privacy of their own home. I mean, things like that would fall afoul of this policy, which is just appalling.
Well, and they would get ratted out. For instance, I could be at a party and I could say, you know what, I don't like Black Lives Matter. I went on their website. Guess what I found? They're a pro-communist, pro-Marxist organization that hates fathers and wants to dissolve the family unit, and they don't want men in the household. And then somebody can rat me out and I can get fired.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what, I don't know if the school district really thought this through, but the First Amendment does not allow for blanket bans on politically incorrect or, frankly, even like racist or offensive speech outside the workplace. And, it's the nice thing about living in Virginia is we also have religious freedom laws. And punishing expression this way, I think, could run afoul of those laws. So I'm really glad that the school district has tabled it. But I think we're not out of the woods yet because this is just one of, Loudon is not going to be the only one. I'm sure there will be other school districts that will try to pull similar shenanigans in the future.
Listen, Nicole, the fact that they attempted to sneak this in is just mind-boggling. And you have to ask yourself, if they did it, well, what's next? Fairfax, Arlington, Falls Church? Right. I mean, it's going to be everywhere. And this is going to be the norm. You might have, fought this back, beaten it back one time, but it's going to keep popping up because there is now a movement, a culture in the United States that is absolutely determined to ban and monitor what people are saying and that's what a Marxist state does. They monitor, just like in China with the CCP, you have a social score. And so if the social score is not above a certain amount, then it can be harmed by criticizing the government or saying something that they don't feel is politically correct, and you can't buy a house, your children can't go to college, you can't buy a car, you can't get on a bus. I mean, is this where we're headed here, Nicole?
I worry that we are. I usually work on college campus issues, and one thing that we've seen over the years is programs called bias response teams spring up around the country. And these are programs where there's a university website, but you're encouraged to tattletale on your fellow classmates for speech, for saying something that might be offensive or biased or bigoted. You can do it anonymously. And you know what? The kind of speech that often ends up getting reported, it's political speech and it's religious speech. And when you look at the full reports, they're usually accompanied by a call for expel this person, punish this person. I mean, students are really, they're out for blood based on political viewpoints, which is a really scary thing. So it reminds me of that phrase, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. I think you're absolutely right. This is the kind of thing that people around the state and frankly around the country need to keep an eye on because it is coming.
How do we fight back, Nicole?
I think, it's interesting. If this was buried in the fine print of a teacher professional conduct code. And so I think some of it is, this is just be engaged. It's not enough just to pay attention to what's going on in Congress or in the White House. It's, pay attention to your local school board meetings. Pay attention to your local, what your mayor's up to, because these kinds of codes, they're going after workplaces. They're going after schools. It's trying to do that groupthink thing because, you know what, they don't have to bust everybody. They just have to bust a few people, and then it chills everybody else, and it makes everybody else fearful. So people just stop talking about these issues that they believe passionately about.
See, you just nailed it. They don't have to bust everybody, just a few rat outs. And, this is what the KGB did. Neighbor would rat out neighbor. In the old Soviet Union, there was they had a statue of a child that ratted his parents out. His parents were then arrested and executed, and the child was raised by the state, and they have a statue of that as the example of what you're looking for. So you rat out your parents, they get executed, then you're at a state home, and then you're lionized. I mean, but that's exactly it. They want people to rat you out, so now you're ratted out, and then you get fired, and that happens 2 or 3 times, and then people become afraid, and they start managing what they're saying. I mean, that is exactly what's going to happen. You absolutely nailed it, Nicole.
Yeah, and so, some people, I think, can recite talking points on college campuses, at work, or keep their mouths shut and not, and still maintain their integrity. But not everybody is that strong, and that's what scares me, it's indoctrination, right? It's the tyranny of, this soft, just keep your mouth shut, just be quiet. And then people, eventually they kind of start to give in. All right, fine, and sure, yes, America is a bad country. Yes, white people are evil. And, it's things like that people just they start to eventually just come to accept instead of fighting back against, rather than saying, yeah, I disagree with that. And that's what scares me.
Nicole, I want to really thank you for your time and for fighting back on it. And keep us up to date because we just happened to get this story and we put a lot of work in it, and I think we scared them off. But any others of these come up, especially in Virginia, let me know. You've got our number. Let me know immediately so we can be on it, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do. Nicole Neily, Speech First, President.